Some connections occur so naturally and intensely that it's hard to believe they're merely coincidence. Times when we meet someone, we sense something special and inexplicable about them, as if everything around us has aligned just to make that encounter possible. And the universe wants two people to be together. Certain signs begin to emerge. These may not always be obvious, but they are real. Unexpected encounters, deeply affecting conversations, paths that intersect at just the right moment. His video invites us to reflect on these encounters that seem to be guided by something greater. Drawing from Carl Jung's ideas, we will explore how unconscious archetypes and the soul's hidden movements bring us closer to people with whom we share a genuine connection. Jung's view on meaningful encounters. According to Carl Jung, nothing we experience is entirely coincidental. Our most important relationships, especially those that seem destined, are often connected to deep dynamics in our unconscious. Jung believed that the collective unconscious, a kind of universal memory we all share, could powerfully influence the choices we make and the encounters we experience. When we feel that the universe wants us to be together with someone, we're actually sensing a harmony, a resonance between what's happening outside and something deep that already exists within us. His type of connection is often linked to the individuation process, discovering ourselves and integrating all parts of who we are. During this journey, we project certain aspects of ourselves onto the other person. Jung calls this projection. In many relationships, we not only get to know the other person but also see ourselves through them. His shadow, representing everything we hide from ourselves, often emerges in deep connections. Times meeting someone awakens intense emotions because they touch wounds or potentials that haven't yet been integrated. Jung also spoke of the animus and anima, the masculine and feminine archetypal aspects within every person. And the universe seems to bring us together with someone. It's often because this person activates a forgotten part within us, opening a door to healing or a new possibility of existence. Therefore, destiny can be understood as an inner call reflected in external encounters. The universe cooperates, but moves according to the soul's own journey. Synchronicity in relationships. When two people meet unexpectedly and under seemingly unlikely circumstances, we often get the feeling that the universe is trying to tell us something. Carl Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity, meaningful coincidences between events that aren't directly causally related but are connected by a deeper bond of meaning. When applied to relationships, synchronicity helps us realize that there's something greater guiding these encounters, something that goes beyond logic and rational explanations. Imagine thinking intensely about someone and shortly after receiving a message from them. Or consider two people from different cities meeting in a distant place, as if their paths were meant to cross right there. According to Jung, these events aren't just chance. They are manifestations of the collective unconscious communicating with our external reality. These events are call for us to pay more attention to what's emerging. In relationships, synchronicity often appears in significant moments during first meetings, unexpected reconnections, or situations where everything seems to align to bring people together. These signs don't guarantee that everything will be easy, but they indicate that there's something important to be experienced with that person. Ife puts before us what we need to face, learn, or integrate, and this often comes in the form of a relationship that begins with a symbolic nudge from the universe, a clear sign. Synchronicity also mirrors our inner world. Then, unconsciously, when we're searching for something, the universe responds, but not with words, rather with encounters, symbols, and coincidences. Book that appears at just the right moment, a song that perfectly captures what you're feeling, or a seemingly ordinary conversation that offers an answer you didn't even know you were looking for. All of these can be interpreted as the symbolic language of the unconscious. And the universe wants us to be with someone. It begins weaving an invisible network of signs. We need sensitivity to notice them, because these signals don't come with neon lights. They come in the silence of an important encounter, in the ease of a spontaneous interaction, in the repetition of symbols that become impossible to ignore. Sometimes coincidences become so frequent that ignoring them becomes harder than accepting them. However, it's important to understand that synchronicity doesn't replace conscious choice. The universe can open the door, but whether or not to walk through that door is up to each person. Then, if signs point to a special encounter, the relationship must be built with responsibility, maturity, and presence. Destiny can bring two paths together, but walking that path together depends on awareness and commitment. According to Jung, synchronicity is a principle that connects our inner world with the outer world, giving meaning to events that might initially seem random. Paying attention to signs isn't superstition. It's a form of deep listening, a dialogue with life's mystery. And when it comes to love, being open to this kind of listening can reveal deep connections, far beyond what's visible. Hence, something within you becomes aligned with life's flow. What once seemed impossible becomes possible. If the universe truly wants two people to be together, it ensures that the right encounters happen at the right moments. It's up to each of us to recognize these signs and decide whether we're ready to follow this path with our hearts and souls. Projection in love. When we fall in love or feel a deep attraction to someone, we don't always see the person as they truly are. Then, what we see in the other is a part of ourselves, a quality we admire, a desire we don't acknowledge, or even an unhealed wound. This phenomenon is called projection in Jungian psychology. Jung believed that we project onto others what still remains in our unconscious, both the light and the shadow, both what we idealize and what we reject. In the context of relationships, projection can be very attractive at first. The other person seems to embody everything we're looking for: sensitivity, strength, freedom, protection, mystery. Over time, we begin to see that this idealized image doesn't match reality. This doesn't mean the love isn't real. Rather, it means recognizing that this idealization is partly a reflection of our own inner world, and we're called to see beyond the fantasy. His dynamic is especially common in encounters guided by the universe. Here's such intense symbolic power in these connections that it's easy to confuse the real person with the image we've created of them. Jung says that every projection is an opportunity to grow because it clearly shows us what we still need to integrate within ourselves. The other becomes a mirror not only of our dreams, but also of our fears, insecurities, and undeveloped aspects of our personality. When we meet someone who activates deep parts of our being, it's common for intense emotions to emerge. Sometimes growth is accompanied by pain because the other person touches old wounds or activates inner conflicts. The truth is that many relationships serve as a healing space, and for this to happen, we must be willing to honestly examine what we're projecting. What is it about this person that fascinates me so much? What is it about this person that deeply disturbs me? What does this relationship awaken in me that I don't usually feel in other situations? These questions help bring awareness to the process. Over time, we begin to realize that not everything we see in the other actually belongs to them. Much of it is our own reflection: anger, jealousy, admiration, addiction, fear of loss, feeling complete. All of these are clues about things within us that are still waiting to be processed. The more aware we become, the more freedom we gain to build a genuine relationship without masks or idealizations. Here are also what Jung called complexes, emotional knots formed especially from significant childhood experiences. Most of our relationships activate these complexes. For example, a person might unconsciously be attracted to someone who represents a parental figure. This explains why certain relationships tend to repeat old patterns, even when we try to do different things. The point isn't to avoid these projections. They're inevitable, especially when falling in love. What's important is recognizing them and using them as tools for self-knowledge. When we manage to see the other as they truly are, without loading our inner expectations or disappointments onto them, we create space for a genuine encounter between two whole beings, not just two idealized images. This process requires courage, but it also brings deep liberation. We stop expecting the other to save or heal us and take responsibility for our own journey. Then ceases to be a search for something missing and becomes an expression of what already overflows within us. When the universe brings someone into our lives and we feel something special about them, it's important to observe what this relationship awakens within us. Perhaps they're showing us something we need to see. Perhaps they're a clear mirror that reveals both beauty and shadows we haven't yet accepted. And D, in this process, we have a chance to heal and become more whole, both with the other and on our own. The shadow in destined relationships, when we talk about encounters that seem destined, we often imagine something light, beautiful, almost magical. The truth is that the deepest and most transformative relationships aren't always easy. They challenge us, push our boundaries, and often force us to confront aspects of ourselves we'd prefer to keep hidden. These parts are what Jung called the shadow, everything we deny, repress, or can't see in ourselves. His shadow doesn't consist only of negative traits like anger, jealousy, or pride. T can also include forgotten potentials, undeveloped talents, and suppressed desires. Hence, someone enters our lives intensely, as if brought by destiny. It's very common for that person to activate our shadow. And D, this can manifest as both enchantment and conflict. Destined relationships aren't there to complete us, but to expose us. They serve as mirrors that illuminate what's hidden in our unconscious. This is why in many cases, the stronger the bond, the more intense the emotional reaction. Insecurities, fears of abandonment, needs for control and approval often surface. The other becomes a stage where the inner battle between who we are and who we haven't yet discovered plays out. His dynamic is extremely uncomfortable, but incredibly fertile. In romantic encounters, the presence of the shadow can be painful, but it's also a tremendous opportunity for growth. Jung argued that no one becomes enlightened by imagining light figures alone, but rather by making the darkness within conscious. ND relationships are one of the most powerful contexts for this process. And the universe brings someone into our lives in a significant way. This encounter can serve as a catalyst. The emerging person can bring to the surface some parts within us, both our most beautiful qualities and aspects we've long avoided confronting, including dormant sides of ourselves. His is a call for us to look within, understand our triggers, recognize our patterns, and embrace our shadow. Why doing this? We become more whole and therefore capable of truly loving. It's important to remember that we're not talking about toxic or destructive relationships here. The presence of the shadow doesn't justify abuse or prolonged suffering. What it means is that even in healthy relationships, discomfort can emerge as part of the transformation process. Then the most challenging relationships are those that push us toward deeper self-awareness. Any couples with intense stories tell of moments when they almost gave up when confronted with old pains or reactions they didn't understand. It's in these moments that becoming aware of the shadow can change everything. Instead of blaming the other or fleeing the relationship, a person can ask themselves, what is this showing me about myself? This simple shift in perspective can transform conflict into an opportunity for healing. Jung also said that integrating the shadow is necessary for individuation, the process of becoming who we truly are. And nothing can accelerate this process like a relationship that forces us to grow. Destined encounters aren't necessarily the easiest ones. They are often the most real ones. Recognizing the shadow doesn't mean living in conflict. And the contrary, it means being more aware and free. The more we recognize our hidden parts, the less dependent we become on others to fill our gaps or validate our identity. And thus, we can build more mature bonds where love is a conscious choice rather than hiding neediness. And the universe brings someone into our lives who awakens both light and shadow. It's a sign that a deep call for transformation is at work. It's an invitation to set aside the illusion of perfect love and dive into real love. Love that embraces what emerges and transforms. Relationships as paths to individuation. Carl Jung saw relationships not just as bonds between two people, but as powerful paths for the soul's development. According to this view, the deepest connections are opportunities to advance in the individuation process, not through repeating patterns, but by achieving our inner wholeness. Those important relationships the universe places in our path often play a transformative role. Being with someone with whom we have an intense emotional bond is like walking with a mirror beside us. The other person clearly shows us who we are, where our lights and shadows lie, and where we still need to grow. Instead of looking to others for solutions to our gaps, we're invited to look within and take responsibility for our own process. This isn't easy, but it's profoundly liberating. Individuation involves recognizing, embracing, and integrating the opposites within us: mind and emotion, strength and fragility, action and receptivity, masculine and feminine. And it's precisely in relationships that these aspects emerge most intensely. And we're with someone who both challenges and accepts us, reflects us, and confronts us at the same time. We have the chance to integrate polarities we might never notice on our own. Jung also spoke about the importance of integrating the animus and anima, the masculine and feminine aspects present in all humans. According to him, men internally carry the image of the feminine anima, while women carry the image of the masculine animus. Both are formed from personal, cultural, and unconscious experiences. In relationships, we often project these images onto our partner, which can create enchantment, disappointment, or confusion. When we realize that these qualities also exist within us, we take a fundamental step in the individuation process. Relationships aren't just emotional or romantic experiences. They are symbolic processes, transformation rituals, that the other awakens in us. Love, fear, the desire to escape, the desire to stay, are all expressions of inner parts coming to the surface. The more we become aware of this, the more we can transform the relationship into a journey of self-discovery. This is why many encounters accepted as destiny cause such deep changes. We're not there just to provide companionship or pleasure. We're also there to confront us with fundamental questions of our soul. These are bonds that take us off autopilot, break down our defenses, and cause us to revisit old pains, while also discovering forgotten strengths. In the path of individuation, the point isn't to eliminate conflicts, but to learn from them. Very disagreement can reveal a part of us that hasn't yet been integrated. Very loving gesture can express our capacity to show compassion and establish mature commitment. Over time, what initially began as mere desire or fascination transforms into conscious togetherness. Integration also occurs when we stop expecting the other to complete us and begin to see them as a companion on our journey, someone walking beside us, but who also has their own path, challenges, and pace. To that point, love ceases to be a merger and becomes a union, with separate individuals who meet without losing themselves. And the universe connects us deeply with someone. It offers us more than just a relationship. It offers us a mirror of the soul. And before that mirror, we have the choice to deny what we see or accept the invitation to transform. That transforms a relationship into a true path of individuation is the act of looking inward, growing together, and integrating what was once separate. Therefore, rather than searching for ideal love, we can learn to recognize the symbolic value of each encounter. And a relationship becomes a bridge between who we are and who we can become. It ceases to be merely destiny and becomes a deep fulfillment of the soul. And along this path, the universe continues to speak, through ourselves, through the other, and through everything that can only be understood with an awakened heart and open spirit. Conclusion: no, not every encounter is coincidental. Some come like gentle breezes, others like storms. But every encounter that leaves a deep mark on the soul carries meaning that goes beyond the surface. And the universe wants two people to be together. It acts through symbols, synchronicities, and challenges, awakening in each of us what still needs to be revealed, healed, and integrated. Jungian psychology shows us that true love consists not only of intimacies, but also of mirrors, revealing who we are, where our shadows lie, and how much we can grow. Very relationship is an invitation to individuation, to discovering ourselves through others. If you think some encounters are guided by something greater, don't ignore that intuition. Perhaps it's time to look more deeply at these connections and recognize not just the love in them, but also their purpose. The invitation to transform. That transforms a relationship into a true path of individuation is the act of looking inward, growing together, and integrating what was once separate. Therefore, rather than searching for ideal love, we can learn to recognize the symbolic value of each encounter. And a relationship becomes a bridge between who we are and who we can become. It ceases to be merely destiny and becomes a deep fulfillment of the soul. And along this path, the universe continues to speak, through ourselves, through the other, and through everything that can only be understood with an awakened heart and open spirit.